it's Anthony Allen Ramos. All right, Bravo's Southern Charm finally has an LGBTQ charmer. I've been asking for it. I said at BravoCon last year that we should have it. Pat and Madison agreed. And listen, guess what? Please meet Rodrigo. He is the new cast member from Southern Charm, which of course airs Thursdays at 9. Rodrigo, how are you?
Good, how are you, Anthony?
I'm good. Okay, well, first off, I gotta tell you, that is a true story. I was with Patricia, of course, and I was like, when are we gonna have a queer charmer? And she's like, I would love that. So listen, here you are, and I love that not only are you of the community, we have, this cast running around of singles for the most part, but you have been in a very long-term relationship. How are you feeling about, being a part of this wild group of people in Charleston?
From the beginning, it's always been watching everyone go through their ups and downs with being on the show, handling celebrity, being a friend and watching it all firsthand. So I kind of got a good idea of how it all be. This weekend I was at a chili cook-off thing, and literally someone came up to me and put their hand on my shoulder and was like, "I follow you. You're so funny." And I literally had no idea who it was. So I was like, okay, all right.
Here we go.
Having random people come up to me is that's going to be a little something to get used to.
So we got to meet you, I think, the second episode of the season. And what I loved so much was that scene when you all were on that kind of bar crawl, and the way that Austen and Craig kind of just were talking about you just like anyone else, and I love that it was just a part of the conversation. It wasn't a big thing. How important is it that we see more of, this kind of representation that's just a part of, a group of friends?
I kind of think even Charleston, how I am with this group of friends is kind of how I think being gay overall sometimes in Charleston, it feels, because, there's only one gay bar in Charleston. And literally that means, so everyone goes everywhere. I mean, there's not just that one place for gay people, because it's literally it intermixed very well. And some big cities where you actually have neighborhoods that are I was in West Hollywood last year, and I was I forgot, how LA is very cliquey within the gay community itself. So here it's everyone's just kind of friends and mixed in with everybody else. So same thing I would say for our group of friends.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, because we're still getting to know you this season. So far, we know you're living in Charleston. I think you're originally from Arizona. You have been in a relationship for, I think, 8 or so years. You're in interior design. What else is there? We want to know more.
I'm middle of 9 kids, which is kind of insane.
Wow.
I hear that. I was yeah, it's just, it's a wide range too. Technically my mom and my brother are both baby boomers, which is kind of insane. I mean, he's 20 years old. My oldest brother is 20 years older than me. And then my youngest sister is, 14 years younger than me. So it's a big family. So, with that, it's just, I'm used to being in big groups of crazy people.
I'm glad we're doing a lot of work to make sure that there are, increased representation in Latin culture, especially when it comes to people who are LGBTQ. What was your experience coming out and, talking to your friends and family about, your identity and all of that?
When I came out to my parents, I had 2 very separate reactions from my mom and my dad. My mom didn't initially believe me. She thought I was just saying something to get under her skin. and then, she was being a hard-headed Latina, which, born and raised, knowing how that can be. We all can be. And, it took her a lot longer once that sank in to realize and accept that, even though my oldest brother is 20 years older than me and he's gay. So for her, I think it took her some time to getting used to it. Just a weird pride thing. And then, my dad was the complete opposite. He literally is just I love you. You're my son. And, it's kind of the opposite of what, sometimes in Latin communities, a Latin machismo, where, the guys have to be a certain way and, be tough. And, my dad has always been a hug and a kiss every time I see him or say goodbye. And so that those two different reactions, I'm grateful that I had at least one of those in that moment to, kind of get me through and not make myself feel, like it was a big issue. Because, it took me a second to come to terms and be like, I try to play in that thing in my head where I'm like, oh, maybe I'm bi.
Mm-hmm.
Saying that to, make it easier to kind of get to that place. I mean, and I find that that's been the experience for a lot of men trying to come to terms with their identities.
I completely appreciate you sharing that. And, then how did then Charleston come into your world? Because, I think about the South, and we know it can be a tricky place for LGBTQ people, but there are, like I said, there are good things happening. There are accepting people, accepting places. So how did you end up in Charleston?
So a friend that I went to college with, actually, it was my last girlfriend, my last attempt in college. We dated for that first semester. We broke up, and then we just realized probably we were just really good friends. And then eventually, she transferred from Arizona State to the College of Charleston, and I came to visit, and I fell in love with Charleston. And at that point in my life, I'd never been to the East Coast, and it was so different than Arizona. First off, it's green and full of history. I mean, a different kind of history than we have in Arizona, but I just fell in love with just the contrasts of places. And I met her now husband's best friend, and then we started dating long distance, and eventually I moved here to be with him.
What's your take? Because Charleston's a place, of course, that I want to go since I've watched every episode ever of Southern Charm. But do you find that it's overall a pretty accepting place for the community?
Yeah, I feel like Charleston, I think about it in a way like what Austin is to Texas.
Yeah.
Charleston is that to South Carolina. I think it's a very accepting, open place. There's big arts festival here, the Splato, that brings international artists and performers everywhere. So I think it's a very cultured city that, understands and appreciates the differences that, that makes up the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And the world, really.
So this is going to be a tough question for you, but we got to ask it. What is your take on the Taylor, Austen, Shep, Olivia drama that literally continues to unfold every week? I don't know what to think anymore. I mean, I think I know what to think, but what is your take on it?
Well, I personally think, being friends with everybody, I see that there are two adults that were single that, had an idea that probably lasted as long as an episode of Southern Charm, to be honest. Like, hey, maybe should we do this? And I think they made out, and it never really went further than that. And I understand that, at the end, they should have been a little more forthcoming with, what was happening with Taylor. I think she said something to Olivia, and I think I can understand why she didn't want to hurt her feelings or make it more than it had to be. But again, like when you're not upfront with people, it kind of makes it snowball something that probably could have been talked out and worked out a lot easier into like a bigger problem. Now I just feel like it is even worse problem because people weren't just direct about it in the end.
Totally. And they, it brings up this whole idea of like bro code, meaning, if you're, you wouldn't date your friend's ex-girlfriend or whatever. Do you think that that is the same rule within LGBTQ relationships, that we should not necessarily go after our friends' exes?
Well, I would say yes, but I've definitely been there where I've had, friends of mine, going after somebody that I was, kind of seeing. And I think in the gay community, there's a lot of overlap, especially in Charleston, where it's a lot smaller, and the pool is already kind of small. So it is like 1 degree separation. Like, somebody who's been with somebody, or you could friends that have all slept or made out with multiple people. just because, again, we're in a smaller pool here. And I think that's also the problem with, the drama, even with the guys, sometimes having the same interest, the same girl having an interest for, and it's kind of like, everyone's trying to get where they can.
To be fair, Craig is in a relationship, Leva's in a relationship, but for the most part, Southern Charm is made up of a bunch of single folks. And you, like I said, have been in a long-term relationship. What advice do you have for your friends in this group who are trying to, find their special person without all of the drama, although we love to watch the drama every week?
Yeah, well, as long as there's alcohol involved, there's always going to be drama. I just think, like, for me, like, it took us, like, Kyler and I, it took us years to get into, like, we're a stable, like, good place where we could get dogs together, get a house, and I just, it's work. It's definitely work trying to, again, try to be conscious of yourself and be there, and also be there for somebody else at the same time. I mean, you can't really give somebody 100% if you're not feeling 100% confident in yourself. So I just feel like my advice would be just be open, be willing to receive, people's opinions and understand their feelings, because Lord knows I've had to, stop myself and realize that, all right, it's not just about me, it's me in a partnership.
Yeah, no, that's very good words of wisdom. Speaking of other wild things, we know BravoCon is back starting November 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Vegas, which is all sorts of crazy. I know you have not been to Vegas yet, but it's going to be your first time. I mean, what is your thought about this? I mean, a bunch of, wild partying Bravo celebrities, especially the Southern Charm crew, should be interesting. What do you think's going to happen?
I mean, I can't wait. I'm going to have like a little autograph book. I'm going to walk around for every house I might see. I think it's going to be fun. I mean, again, like I said, this group of friends, you add alcohol, it's going to be eventful. That's one. And I know it's going to be fun. I think everyone just realizes, like, all right, maybe we can just kind of put aside any drama that's, from the season or that's still carried over to right now, and just go have a good time, because really it's about going there, meeting fans of the show, like meeting other Bravo celebrities and having a good time. I mean, last thing I think I'd want is to get there and I meet some Bravo celebrities who's being a little bitch.
Who are you? What Bravo celebrity are you excited to meet? Because I'm sure we're all fans of someone.
Big fan of Lisa Barlow. Love me some Lisa Barlow.
Lisa Barlow and her Del Taco and all that.
I'm gonna bring a big Circle K cup for her to sign for me.
That's amazing.
Can you sign my Taco Bell bag?
Yes. Lisa Barlow. I mean, listen, she'll be there, and so many other folks. Rodrigo, it's so nice to meet you. Thanks so much for the time. And like I said, I'm so excited. We've got some LGBTQ representation now on Southern Charm. Can't wait to see more of your story. And just a reminder, everyone, Southern Charm airs Thursdays at 9 on Bravo TV.